Okay, so what's up again, guys? This is Sir Ken again with another YouTube video. Kamusta po kayong lahat? I hope you're doing well. I hope you're fine right now. I hope wala po tayong mga sakit. And we just have to keep praying po for better days to come. Okay, anyway, kung hindi ka pa subscriber ng aking YouTube channel, so click nyo na po yung red button dyan sa baba. Huwag na kayong mahiya, guys. Subscribe nyo na ako. And then, i-ring nyo na rin yung notification bell para lagi po tayong updated sa ating mga or sa aking YouTube video. Anyway, our topic for today is about information literacy. So, what is information? Okay? So, ano nga ba si information? So, yung information po ba is nanggagaling sa mga chismis ng mga kapitbahay natin, sa mga marites, or kung sino man? Is that information? Or can we call that as information? Of course, it is a no. So, of course, it is a no. So, instead, look at this one. Okay, pag mas na maigi yung picture. And then try to interpret it po. Okay, as you can see, magkakaibang weather, magkakaibang experiences sila, but the information is gathered towards sa nila, even magkakalayo. So basically, information is, so these are data that has been collected, processed, and interpreted in order to be presented in a usable form. It is a broad term that can be cover process data, knowledge derived from study, experience, instruction, signals, or symbols. Information is often used to describe knowledge of specific events or situations that has been gathered or received by communication, intelligence, or news report. Okay? So basically, we all know that about the information. So what is information literacy? Okay, so information literacy, this has the set of individual competencies needed to identify, evaluate, and use information in the most ethical, efficient, and effective way across all domains, occupation, and profession. Well, it refers to the ability to recognize when information is needed and to locate, evaluate, effectively use, and communicate information in its various formats. So basically, we all know about information literacy and how it works. Okay, but this time, there are elements of information literacy. So ano-ano po ba yon? First, identifying and recognizing informations needed. So you have to identify first and recognize yung mga different information na kailangan natin. Baka mamaya sobra na pala yung naibibigay natin na information, or baka mamaya hindi pala angkop yung information na binibigay natin. Determining sources of information, like for example, maling sources na pala, or hindi pala reliable sources yung binibigay natin na information. Like, halimbawa, nakita lang natin sa Facebook. So, hindi naman pwedeng maniwala agad tayo sa mga nakikita natin sa Facebook unless we look for any reliable sources pa po. Citing or searching for information. So, katulad nga po na sinabi sa inyo, before we share something, or bago tayo maniwala, so we have to identify first if tama po ba yung different sources na tinitingnan natin. Analyzing and evaluating the quality of information. So same din. Organizing, storing, and archiving information. So dito guys, sa part na to, okay, So, last pala muna. So, using information in an ethical, efficient, and effective way. So, dito sa part na to, guys, we have to analyze din or evaluate yung informations needed po natin, and as well as storing, archiving information po natin. So, dito sa part na to, we have to identify. So, halimbawa, meron tayong nakitang reliable sources, but it is in year 2012 pa. So we have to look po, baka mamaya may makita tayo na sources from year 2020, year 2021. So, mas magiging reliable po yun since po, again, in every 5 years, nag-i-innovate po. So, that's why, di ba, sa mga researches nyo, pagka po pinagre-research kayo ng mga teachers nyo, yung chapter 2, so chapter 2, dapat po 5 years, so at least 5 years yung source po na kukunin po natin, especially pagka po about sa mga difficulties or problems encountered po. So, yun. So, yun po yung elements of information literacy. Okay, and next is creating and communicating. So, creating and communicating new knowledge po. So, of course, since you gathered a lot of information, nakakuha ka na ng different theories, different ethical and effective ways of informing or information. So, kaya mo na makapag-create and kaya mo na makapag-create ng new knowledges po natin. Okay, so questions that should be answered. So, ano po ba yung mga kailangan natin ma-answer para magawa natin tong part na to? First is, what information do you need? So, baka kasi mamaya, yung mga information po natin is sobra-sobra na pala yung sobra-sobra, or baka mamaya hindi na pala yun yung kailangan natin, dinadagdag pa natin. What information should you give? When and where will you get them? So, you have to find then yung different sources po again. So, na pagkukuhanan po nito. How and where can you access them? So, you have to think, saan mo ba pwede i-access tong mga kailangan mo? So, mga kailangan mong sources for your information. How will you check the quality of information? So, paano mo ma-check yung reliability ba nito? Kasi baka mamaya, we think na tama yung source natin, but at the same time, so mali na pala, or fake pala yung information na nakukuha natin. And lastly, how will you create and communicate information? So, sorry sa mga background noise po natin. Tabing highway lang po kasi tayo, kaya medyo makakarinig kayo ng mga ganang background po. So, how will you create and communicate information? So, that are the things that should be answered, or questions that should be answered regarding sa pagkuha nyo ng mga informations. Okay? So, next po natin, naniniwala ba kayo na knowledge is power? So, sa mga nanonood, naniniwala po ba kayo na knowledge is power? Well, of course. I'm very sure na para natuloy ako si Steve ng Blue's Clues. Wala naman ako kausap, pero pinagsasalita ko kayo. Anyway, of course, I'm very sure na naniniwala kayo na knowledge is power. Because kung walang knowledge kayo, so I'm very sure hindi nyo maiintindihan tong lecture na to, or even hindi kayo makakapag-access ng YouTube or mapapanood tong video na to kung wala kayong knowledge towards something. So that's why one good thing is, knowledge is power po. So, knowledge is an important aspect of human life that leads to activities that contribute to one, gaining wealth, gaining influence, and gaining power po. So, of course, di ba? Kaya nga nagkakaroon ng position yung mga tao dahil, di ba, of their knowledge of something and their influence of something. So parang sa mga government lang po natin. So one good example is our government. Anyway, knowledge is the appropriate collection of information through experience or education, which could be useful in various situations. So obviously we all know about that. Knowledge is about knowing, and knowing things. Things makes people valuable. So of course, every time, 'di ba? Every time na meron tayong natututunan, hindi lang sa school natin, but all through our experiences, nadadala po natin 'yon hanggang pagtanda. So 'di ba po? Parang halimbawa, pag nagkamali tayo sa isang certain things, of course, hindi na po tayo uulit na gawin yon. Kasi, or, pagka naka-encounter tayo ng mga ganung situation, is alam na natin yung gagawin. Because, we experience those things. And at the same time, it makes us, it makes us valuable, valuable po. So, at some point. Okay? So, next natin is the ethical use of information. Well, there are times when you need to share information that you have acquired from various sources, written by different authors. It is inevitable to directly quote their words in order to preserve their meaning. However, quoting someone else's word without giving credit to the author essentially gives an impression that you are claiming ownership of the word they have said. So, these are called plagiarism. So, discuss natin yung ethical use of information natin. So, first one is the plagiarism. So, this one is using other people's word and ideas without clearly acknowledging the source of information, of the information. For example, you have seen something sa internet, or gusto mong gayahin. So, ang ginagawa mo, kinaka-copy-paste mo yung content. Or sabihin natin sa mga researches, maganda yung sinabi ni ganto ganyan. So, makuha nga. So, makuha nga sa introduction ko, and so on. So, that is called plagiarism po. Next is the common knowledge. So, facts that can be found in numerous places and are likely to be widely known. So, pagdating sa common knowledge, from the word itself, common knowledge. So, kung ano yung alam or widely known ng mga tao. One good example of this one is 365 days a year. So, alam ng mga tao na 365 days a year po nagkakaroon. Nagkakaroon lang ng 366 years pagdating ng leap year. So, mostly, yun yung alam ng mga tao. 365 years yung alam ng mga tao. Yung ibang mga tao, medyo nalilito lang pagdating sa leap year. So, pero ang alam ng mga tao, 365 days a year, meron po ang isang taon. Okay? So, that's an example po of common knowledge. Interpretation. You must document or cite the sources of the fact that are not generally known, or ideas that can be interpreted as facts. So, like for example, may nakita kayong source sa internet, so you have to identify or interpret them. So, that can be useful, or that can be a fact po. Next is quotation. So, using someone's word directly. When you use a direct quote, so place the passage between the quotation mark and document the source according to a standard document or documenting type or style. So, one good example of quotation natin is yung, for example, when we are creating chapter 2 of our research, yung mga according po natin, so yung mga according po natin sa or mga quoted po na important na sinabi ng isang author or important na sinabi ng isang tao, so we have to put quotation in it, as well as yung proper way po ng paglalagay ng pangalan po nila. So there are different ways on quoting po yung author ng libro or author po ng mga different journals and so on. Next is paraphrase. So, ito yung laging ginagawa ng mga student or ito yung kadalasan na ginagawa ng mga student. So, using someone's idea but rephrasing them in your own word. Although you will use your own word to paraphrase, you must still acknowledge and cite the source of the information. So, ito yung nagiging pagkakamali ng isang student. So, akala kasi ng student, once na pinaraphrase ko naman yung gawa ko, okay na. So, ayun, may bumusina pa. Ayun, pinaraphrase ko naman yung gawa ko. So, okay na, wala nang problema. But the thing is, pinaraphrase nyo, but without knowing kung sino yung author or yung gumawa nung thing na yun is also plagiarism. As long as hindi po natin dinalagay or hindi po natin sinasite po yung name or yung author po or acknowledgement po dun sa pinagkuhanan natin ng source, is still pagnanakaw pa rin yun. Stealing pa rin po yun ng information niya. So that is paraphrase. You have to take note of this one. Plagiarism has legal implication, while ideas themselves are not copyrightable. The artistic expression of an idea automatically falls under copyright when it is created. Under fair use, small parts may be copied without permission from the copyright holder. However, even under fair use, in which you can use some parts of the materials for academic or non-profit purposes, you must attribute the original source or what is considered fair use. Use is the rather subjective and can vary from country to country. You have to take note of this one, guys. And lastly po natin, there are strategies in avoiding plagiarism. Okay, number 1, submit your own work for publication. So you need to cite even your own work. So obviously, pag nag-create ka ng own work mo, so you have to cite na according to ganito, ganyan, according to, hindi naman according to myself, pero ilalagay mo yung pangalan mo. So, to cite po, na kayo po talaga yung naggawa nun. Put quotation marks around everything that comes directly from the text and cite the sources. Ayun. So, katulad sinabi ko sa inyo, put quotation marks po once po nag-cite, once po na nag-directly get kayo ng isang quote sa isang text. Paraphrase, but be sure that you are not simply rearranging or replacing a few words, and cite the sources. So, pag nag-paraphrase po tayo, we have also to be sure na hindi lang basta paraphrase yung ginawa natin. Inintindi rin po natin kung ano yung gusto niya sabihin. At the same time, binago po natin, but we put yung cite or we put the sources po. Keep a source journal, a notepad or note cards, annotated. Sorry. Bibliographies can be especially beneficial. Next is use the style manual in properly citing the sources, and get help from the writing centers or even sa mga library towards avoiding or towards the strategies in avoiding plagiarism po. So, that ends po itong short video lecture po natin. I hope you learned something. So, have a great day and keep safe, everyone.